The American people are scared to death that you're really going after Social Security. Not only did my constituent not get his payment in February, they went to his bank account and tried to claw back previous payments from January and December. And then what did he do? He had to go down to the building in Seattle, the federal building that you're trying to close, and stand in line for hours and hours and hours to try to say he wasn't dead and to stop taking his money.
It was Washington State Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell today bringing a story from her home state paper to a confirmation hearing for Donald Trump's nominee to run the Social Security Administration. Senator Cantwell told that story today from the Seattle Times about this 82-year-old Washington State resident who was mistakenly declared dead by Social Security, which resulted in his benefits being taken away. He first tried to fix the problem over the phone. And then, as you heard the senator tell the committee there, he went down to the local Social Security office in person to try to sort it out. This is from the Seattle Times. Quote, "It was like a Depression-era scene," he said, with a queue 50 deep jockeying for the attentions of two tellers. The employees were kind but beleaguered. Quote, "They are so understaffed down there," he said. "They think the office is about to be closed down and they don't know where they're going to go. It feels like the agency is being gutted." After waiting for 4 hours, Mr. Johnson admits he jumped the line. He says, quote, "I saw an opening and I kind of just rushed up and told them I was listed as dead. That seemed to get their attention." One story, one town, one retired person trying to straighten out one problem with Social Security and finding a Depression-era scene when he did so. But as Donald Trump and his top campaign donor and whatever Doge is continue to hack away at the way Social Security runs as an administration, the questions about Social Security are moving beyond an anecdote here or there. The question, of course, is how much the agency can take before it just stops working altogether. This is from the Washington Post today. Quote, "Long waits, waves of calls, website crashes. Social Security is breaking down." Washington Post today provided this riveting reporting from Social Security offices around the country. Quote, "In one office in central Indiana, the phone lines are jammed by 9 a.m. with hundreds of retirees, further taxing a staff of less than a dozen that is responsible for nearly 70,000 claimants across the state." The questions have become predictable. What is the U.S. Doge service doing to Social Security? Will the office close? Will my benefits continue? The employees with no training yet on the impending changes have few answers. Quote, "I hope we're going to be here," the employee tells caller after caller, "but I can't guarantee anything." This is what the Post found in Baltimore, Maryland. Quote, "In Baltimore, an employee who works on critical payment systems said nearly a quarter of his team is already gone or will soon be out the door. Quote, "The reduction in highly skilled staff is already having consequences." The staffer said his office is supposed to complete several software updates and modernization processes that are required by law within the next few weeks and months. But with the departures, it seems increasingly likely that it will miss those deadlines. His team is also called on to fix complicated technology glitches that stop payments. But many of the experts who make those fixes are exiting. He explains that glitches have to get cleaned up on a case-by-case basis. The experts in how to do that are leaving. Quote, "We will have cases that get stuck, and they're not going to be able to get fixed. People could be out of benefits for months." Again, that is from the Washington Post today, where they interviewed more than 24 people and reviewed internal documents for this report. That headline again, "Long waits, waves of calls, website crashes. Social Security is breaking down." Joining us now is Lisa Ryan. She's a reporter for the Washington Post. She's the lead byline on this story. Ms. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
So you and your colleagues report that, for example, among all the other things, the Social Security website in the last 10 days, or in a span of 10 days, has crashed 4 times. Managers are so short-staffed, they're doing double duty as receptionists. They're taking frontline phone calls. What would you describe the atmosphere like, the mood like, the morale like among the Social Security staffers who are left at these frontline offices?
I think the field staff is extremely anxious, and some of them are also extremely angry because, you know, they're trying to do their jobs. These are not high-paying jobs. And what's happened is that an acting commissioner appointed by Donald Trump has come in and, working with Elon Musk's Doge team, has moved really swiftly to downsize this agency. And, he wants to get rid of 7,000 employees. That's about a little over 12%. And he's well on his way to doing this. And they've offered early retirement packages, buyouts. Some people have been fired. Others have just quit because they're so frustrated. And this field staff, they take these jobs. These are not easy jobs. And yet, one by one, the field offices and the call centers, that handle this really deteriorating phone service on the 800 line are just, they're really eroding. And it's just got to be frustrating, of course, for the staff and also for all the retirees and disabled people who are trying to get service.
Some of the impact of what Trump has done to the Social Security Administration strikes me as just very granularly specific in a way that is understandable even to people who have no idea how this agency runs. A DOJ-imposed spending freeze has currently left many field offices without paper, pens, or phone headsets at the exact moment phone calls are spiking. This includes the freeze that drove all federal credit cards to a $1 limit. I mean, even if you don't take Social Security benefits yourself, even if you've never been to this kind of agency, you imagine trying to run any sort of customer service operation without having pens or paper or headsets to answer the phone. It does seem like there's I got the sense from your reporting that there's no relief in sight for those types of granular difficulties that make it just impossible to do almost anything. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. And I think, we really don't know kind of what the end game is here. The nominee, President Trump's nominee to run Social Security, had a hearing today before the Senate Finance Committee. And, there was a bipartisan group of senators who asked him, look, you really need to address customer service issues, and you need to figure out, how many cuts to the staff and to service are really acceptable, because otherwise this agency is going to grind to a halt. And he said he would address these issues. He talked about using artificial intelligence. He said, well, maybe we do need to reconsider some of these cuts. But for now, it's not just the staff cuts, though, Rachel. It's also policy changes that the acting commissioner in charge has made. And this is all in the name of fraud, fighting fraud. And there's a real obsession of Elon Musk and his team that fraud is a huge issue at Social Security. And there is fraud. There's fraud in every federal program, and this is a really big one. So the fraud estimates seem really high in comparison, but when you think about the actual spending on benefits, it's not that considerable, less than 1%. But in the name of reducing fraud, what the Trump official who's in charge is now doing is, he's actually made it harder for a variety of people, largely people who can't use computers, to actually do things like verify their identity or make direct deposits. All this now can't be done by phone, but it has to be done by going to a field office if you can't do it online. But as we've just talked about, the field offices are just fraying. So this is sort of a weird, kind of cycle of doom that is now going on. I don't know how it's going to end.
Yeah, it's not going to end unless they take affirmative action to end it. And it does not seem, there's nothing that we've seen in any reporting that there's any intention to fix any of these things as they keep getting worse. Really vivid reporting, and I know it took a lot of shoe leather to do it. Thank you to you and your colleagues for doing this. Lisa Ryan from The Washington Post. Thanks.
Thank you for having me.